Hey folks, Danny here, and it looks like it's time for another pedal board build. This will be the first on my channel, so should be interesting. I've been running a pedal train Metro 20 for about a year or so, and I'm in need of something a little bit more robust. I'll be doing some traveling over the summer, and I figured it's time to bring out my Boss BCB-1000. So let's start the journey. All right, so I'm going to start off with showing you what is going to go on my board. I've known what's going to go on there because these are mainly the pedals I use. A few different additions from my little board. So I'm going to start off with the MXR Classic 108 Fuzz. Small footprint. I don't need a big fuzz face for what I'm using. And I think it sounds good. That'll be the first of the chain for sure. And then I think I'm going to go with the Dunlop Volume Mini. It also can be used as an expression pedal, but I'll be using the auxiliary out to go to my tuner. Again, it's a small footprint and it works great. And speaking of the tuner, I will be using my trusty Polytune Mini. This one here, the switch doesn't work, but it still works as a tuner, which means when I go out from my volume pedal into here, it'll always be on, so it doesn't really matter. Next, I'll be going into my SP compressor by Xotic. These are great little pedals. There's a small footprint again, but there's many options with this one here. You have your blend knob, your volume knob, what kind of compression you want, if you want a high, low, or mid compression. And it also has some internal dip switches, which are really nice. I bought this specifically for when I started using my Hughes and Kettner, and I found it very crispy, like clear, really clear, glassy almost, and I need something to cut that down. So I bought this because it had internal dip switches to fix that issue, but I also bought it along with one of these, the EP booster, which will be going on the board as well. I always run it off and I shut off the 3 dB boost inside in the internal dip switches. This just fattens up your tone a little bit, and a lot of people use this pedal board staple. Basically, these are great pedals. And since I bought the two little ones, I figured I may as well get one of the other little ones, the SL Drive. I'm not sure if I'm going to put this on or my MXR Timmy. This is a great sounding drive, but so is the Timmy. The Timmy has a little bit more options, but this one also has the internal dip switches, as the other ones do. I actually put the sticker on the side, and I'm not quite sure why I did that, but it's there. And yeah, this is another great pedal. It's got your tone and drive and your volume on the front. And again, small footprint. Small footprints means more pedals. And then I also am going to put this on, and the price point of this is way lower than the other pedals. This is a King of Blues by Tone City. I highly doubt I'll ever get a Analog Man King of Tone, but this I think is one of the next best things. I remember seeing a video on Anderton's, and they had this on there, and it was very hard to tell the difference. So you have two drives basically in one. You have your gain, volume, and tone. Same on the other side. There's no internal dip switches on these. You have your top mounted jacks, which are always nice. And this thing actually sounds really great. If you have a chance to get one, they're cheap. Pick one up. They're really, really good. They have version 1 and version 2. So after all the drives, I am going to boost it with one of these Super Sweet Boost by Xotic. These are great. Now, they've started putting the dip switches on the side of the pedal, which is good. You don't have to take off the back like the other ones. And if you're wondering about the toppers, they're cheap. They're on Amazon. They work. Good price. This is a very good clean boost, and all you have is your gain up top here. And again, small footprint. And the company, Xotic, is a really good company. After that, I am going to go into my TC Electronic pipeline. I haven't had this on my board for a long time. This is a great tremolo. It's got the tone print options, but it also has tap tempo. So if you hold it in, and then you can tap your tempo in. I mean, the footprint's bigger, but I got lots of room with all the other small ones. It's a cool color too. These were always weirdly shaped pedals in my eyes, with the little bulge here and then the big screw to take them off in the back. But you have your vintage tone print and square. I always keep it up into the vintage setting. And then from that, I also am going to go into another TC electronic pedal, the Helix, for the old classic country stuff that I sometimes got to play. I used to have a small Stone, I think it was, a big one, a 1978. I still have it. I think I might put it for sale. And this is as close as I could come to the vintage tone. And again, this has the vintage tone print and smooth options. And yeah, it's stereo, this one here, stereo in and out. And it has your mix knob, your depth, feedback, and speed. And again, these are weirdly shaped, but they're good pedals. And then I'm going to go into this pedal here. This is a great pedal. A Halo Andy Timmons Dual Echo by Keeley. It's got a left and right in. It's got left and right out. Your tip ring sleeve and your tip and ring output here. All kinds of options on this. It has tap tempo. It has freeze. It has 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has 4 banks. Plus it has your 2 banks on each one, A and B. So you can switch it by either switch your banks by hitting both at the same time, or you can hit your toggle switch. But I'm not bending over to hit a toggle switch in the middle of a show. 9 volt, everything's good. This is a really good pedal. I wish I had another one for a smaller build, but you never know. I might come to that later. So that's what I'm putting on my board as for pedals, but starting to wonder if I need a backup or not, and you just never know these days. So I bought a DSM Humbolt Electronics Simplifier 0-watt stereo guitar amp. I bought one of these when they came out, and I'm telling you, it was a great investment. I've done shows where I couldn't use an amp, and I've needed something like this, and this comes in handy, and it's small. Like it's basically the size of a pedal, a little bit smaller than this one actually. And they're good. I've talked to the company, and they're great to get back to you. I mean, you can go stereo in. It also has a loop in here. You have this is your mic positioning knobs, the 2 of them here for left and right. You have a 212, 412, or 112 option. You also have, what do you got here? You got presence and resonance. So you can do KT88s, EL34s, or 6L6 tubes. Your bass, mid, and treble here. And you have your cabs. So AC Brit is kind of like a Vox. You got your American, like a Fender Blackface, I think it is, and your MS Brit, like a Marshall. You also have a headphones out and an auxiliary in, and you have your earphones level here. You can also, this is your spread here. I think it's your phase spread, and you can go out XLR's outs here, and I think you can get it up to 18 volts for a bit more headroom. And if you want to use this just in the chain and bypass all of it, you can just plug into here and out into your amp. And then if you switch this, then everything comes into play. Or you can just take your cable out and feed it into here. And that's it. Same with these here. This is a ground lift button here. So yeah. So really, if you wanted to, you could have 3 separate sounds going to front of house. So you could have this side here as a 112. You could have this side here as a 412. Or even a 212. Set this all up, have it run out of the XLRs, and then you can have your amp coming out of here, bypassing all of this and into your amp and miking your amp up. So this is a great little option. And you know what? I think it's going to go on the board for sure, just in case something were ever to happen, or if I had to play in a spot where there was a limit on noise. All right. So now we have to put all of this on my board. All right. So here's my board. It kind of sets into something else, which I'll show you later. I always suggest starting with the outside pedals first, so that way you know how much room you have on the inside. Now, I've already laid these out and know exactly pretty well what I have for room. And the other thing is sometimes, like let's say these 2 pedals here, and I'm only going into this mono. If I was going into it stereo, I would have another jack here, which is kind of in the way of the output jack here. So sometimes you can have it this close. Sometimes you have to space it. And that's why I always have an extra plug here. So that's as far as I can get from that other pedal. And we always are trying to look for pedal real estate on these boards. So I always start from the outside and I work my way in. So it'll basically be this as my bottom shelf. Where am I at here? This one. And either this or the Timmy drive next. So that's going to be on the bottom. I know it's tight, but it will work. And then up here, I'm going to have my Polytune right off the bat, because that's going to come out of my volume into there. And then that's going to be my first, because it should always go before. It should always be the first in line. And then these 2 are kind of an always on pedal. And then I'll have my phaser and my simplifier, like so. And that's going to be the layout of the board. Looks pretty good from what I can tell. Lots of room. It might be a little bit tight down here, but I know I can get it there. All right. So what I also did in the meantime, I got my 3M dual lock, and I already cut the pieces to go on the bottom. So they're just resting there. So my next thing I'm going to do is set these on here, make sure they get a good contact, stick them down. And then after that, it's basically wiring up the board for audio. And then I do the power. Now for power, I think I'm going to use, I have a tone, what do you call those? Like a CS76 and a CS7 CS7 and a CS6 by one spot. And I'm not quite sure. The CS6 will do all of this. And it's very small and it works fine. The CS7 is a bit thicker and will do this as well. And there's a few more options on it. So I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm going to do yet, but I'll figure that out. So we're going to take a quick pause here in recording, get these all put down, and then go from there. All right, folks. So I'm just wiring up my pedal board here. And I use these PedalPatch UK pedal wireless patch cables. I don't know if you can see that or not. Anyway, and I just want to show you what I do. I make the cable like so. You put it in, put your set screw in there for your ground, and your tip hits the pin inside. So take my trusty multimeter and make sure the connection is good on for the sleeve and the tip. Okay, but what I also do is I also come over here, my 200K, and I measure, because sometimes it will work, but you'll still get a short on the sleeve or on the tip. Now, when it's all working good like this, when you're measuring the same side, like let's say you're measuring the tip like I am right now, it should come out to 0. Same with the sleeve, always come out to 0. But I always measure the sleeve, and then I measure one sleeve and one tip, and it should read nothing, like that, always. If you have a reading there or anything higher here, you have a short. So 200K ohms here, here, opposite ends. Same with the sound. Same ends, opposite ends should be silent. And again. Now, another thing with these PedalPatch UK kits, you can have them go at a right angle, like so, or you can have one go at a right angle and the other one go straight, like this. It always has the hole there at the end. Just remember to put that over the wire before you put the set screw on and the tip. So yeah, the whole board's wired with these. All right, so here is the finished product in my Boss case. Basically looks like a suitcase. It has a handle like a suitcase, and it's got the wheels. It's a really rugged case. I really like it. So here is what I got. Got my cables, my Ernie Balls, power cable, my mic, and here's what I went with: 4 pedals. I did take the SL drive off and put my MXR Custom Shop Timmy drive on there. I really like this pedal. It's got lots of options. I didn't bother going through wiring it up and everything because it'd be boring. I'm sure we've all seen it before. Wiring's run underneath. Everything is good. I tested everything out, and I'll give you a sound bite in another video. Underneath I used the CS6 to power everything, and when I ran the power, these 3 can be run on 18 volts, so that's where I ran them, and I daisy chained them. Rule of thumb is if something is an analog pedal like this or like that, even this here, you can daisy chain. There won't be much interference or any at all. Digital pedals such as this, and this should be run by itself, as well as the Polytune, but the Polytune's not running in series, so it shouldn't make any difference anyway. So these 3 are running on 18 volts. This one, and this one is running 9 volts off a daisy chain, plus this. These 3 have their own independent power sources. I think that might be running off a daisy chain as well. And on the end, I cut out, I don't know if you can see that, for my IEC cable here. There's an on-off switch just underneath. Now to take the board part out underneath, there's a couple of screws here. I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of dark. There's 4 screws here that come out. It just pops out, works really good. So yeah, this is my board. And like you've seen before, there's storage in here for my mic goes in there. It's a Sennheiser E609. Very good mic. Sounds great. Been using it for years. And IEC cable and my guitar cables. Go in there, little tweak of the buttons before I start playing, and we're good to go. So that is my pedal board.